Episode 3 in access points for PDR. In this video we're going to be discussing the access points available on a rear wheel arch panel for paintless dent removal. So stay tuned to find out more. Here on this wheel arch I've marked up a couple of points for our example video, and we'll discuss the ways that we can potentially gain access to remove dents in these locations. As we discussed in episode 2 with the front wing panels, when you've got a dent that's located on the upper sections of the panel, it's always a good idea to open up this tailgate boot lid and have a look at what access there is on the inside. So on this particular model we have an access panel here, so I would start by taking this out and having a look at what's behind. Now we have the CD player located here and what looks to be the jack for the vehicle. But once we move that out of the way, we can see we're on that inside panel. And these black pads are just sound deadening pads, which do make it a bit trickier to remove dents because it gives us a pad in between our tool and the panel itself, but not impossible. So that's the first access point, which would pretty much give us access to the majority of the midsection of this panel. So the next point of access would be to remove this rear lamp. On this model we have a 10mm plastic nut there and one at the top as well, and it will likely be clipped in on this side section here. Most lamps are fairly similar. Sometimes you'll have the bolts or nuts on the outside like on this one. Other times you'll be able to gain access through the inside panels and be able to get kind of nuts and bolts to remove the lamp there. But we'll take out this unit and hopefully there'll be some access behind through the wiring loom, or it might just be open once we get that out. So we'll take a look. So now we've taken the rear light out, we can check for access behind. Unclip the plug for the lamp. On this model you can see it's fairly boxed in, but quite often once you remove these lamps, this whole section can be clear, allowing you to get to the inside of the panel. One option would be to remove this rubber grommet, which gives us a hole big enough to put one of our tools through, which may well give us access to this point. And also remove the actual grommet for the wiring loom, which would give us access behind here. If it wasn't possible to gain access through these holes, I would first try the glue pulling system to get to these points, but at a very last resort, with the customer's permission, it may be possible to drill an access hole similar to this which we would then seal, protect and put a rubber grommet in place. With the lamp being removed, the hole would be completely out of sight in this section. But as I say, this is always a last resort. When we have dents located on the rear wheel arches, like on these dogleg sections and on the lips of the arch, it's quite often what we call double skinned. So whereas on the front wing panel we can remove the plastic liners underneath and gain access because it's single skinned, on most rear wheel arches, once you take that liner out, there is a metal skin that goes across the inside as it's part of the main body of the car. It's always worth having a look. The first port of call would be to try the glue pulling system, but if that didn't work and there was no access, then it is possible to jack up the vehicle, supporting it with stands, remove the wheel, and then with the customer's permission, drill a small access hole on the underside with that liner removed to gain access to the dent, and then seal the hole with either like a wax or paint to protect from corrosion, and then a small rubber grommet in there to seal it completely. But this is always a last resort. There is usually an access point or somewhere to get in. On this particular model, where we have this mark, we can gain access on the inside through this trim. On the inside here you can see the inner wheel arch, and that X on the outside is roughly here on the other side. So on this model it's wide open and there's plenty of space to work. When we have dents on the upper sections of these panels, again it's very tricky to gain access. You would always try to glue pull it first, as this will be the easiest option without having to remove trims. But either from the inside edge, we would look at removing this D-pillar trim and see if there's any access behind. Sometimes we do have holes where we have things like the seat belt located and where the trim clips in itself, but it is a part of the main structure of the vehicle, so quite often it has multiple skins or layers of metal which prevent us gaining access in that way. It's also worth opening up the door and just checking those inside channels, just in case there's any access points or grommets that were already there. But otherwise it's the glue pull system or removing these trims to see what access there is. So that's it for episode 3 on access points for PDR. I hope you found that useful in gaining access around the rear wheel arch panels. If you have, don't forget to hit subscribe and be up to date with our next episode, which will be access points for tailgates and boot lids. So if you've enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up, like us and follow on the channel. I'm Tom with Learn PDR Online, and thank you very much for watching.